documents, wire transfer records, authorization logs, sealed instructions, and access codes. The type of evidence that resides inside file systems defies subpoenas and is verified by forensic accountants before it reaches a congressional table, or the foundation of every hearing prior to this one. There was no material brought by Senator Richard Blumenthal. He had a picture with him. Just one picture. When he got there, it was printed on regular paper and set face down on the table in front of him. Because documents can be classified, sealed, designated attorney work product, buried under executive privilege claims, and locked inside authorization codes that trace to offices that no longer exist, the room fell silent in a way never seen in any prior hearing when he turned it over, held it up to the cameras, and asked 4 questions. The people in a photograph are simply humans, and a photograph is just an image. Describe this picture. Blumenthal stated just that. 4 phrases. No legal structure. There are no set procedures. There is no mention of case numbers or categorization designations. Just 4 words and an image. For 71 seconds, U.S. Attorney General PAM Bondi remained silent. On Thursday at 10:44 a.m. Eastern Time, the Senate Judiciary Committee will meet in room 226 of the Dirksen Senate Office Building. Blumenthal took the microphone after Bondi had been seated for 30 minutes. The first half hour was typical. DOJ funding, federal sentencing rules, and immigration enforcement goals. Bondi handled it with the deftness and expertise of someone who has held this role several times. Blumenthal appeared to have barely survived another morning by the time she leaned forward. For the first half hour, Blumenthal had been utterly silent. In front of him was a yellow legal pad. To its right is a single face-down picture. Neither of them had been touched by him. Now he touched the picture. His voice sounded distinct from everyone else's that morning, Madam Attorney General. Not hostile, nor a prosecutor. Almost soft. The particular tone that causes a witness to lean forward instead of backward. I want to show you something before I ask you my first inquiry. He flipped the picture around and held it up to the document camera so it would project onto the screen across the room behind him. The room witnessed it. Bondi noticed it. Her appearance didn't change. It didn't freeze as hard as faces do when something unexpectedly falls on them. More gradually and under control, it altered. The particular micro-expression of a person who considers how to react to an unexpected situation during the following few milliseconds. Blumenthal did not look at her. Could you identify the person in this picture for this committee, Madam Attorney General? Could you also let us know where and when it was taken? Bondi glanced first at Blumenthal, then at her main lawyer, and lastly at the picture across the screen. He had already started writing. Senator, if Blumenthal hadn't had a chance to set a photograph flat on the table in front of the cameras, I wouldn't be able to verify or explain it at an open hearing. I'll assist you with the authentication. This image was taken in the Southern District of New York during a civil lawsuit discovery procedure. 2 separate forensic imaging analysts verified it as part of that process. The data confirms the device that took it, the date, and the location. He gave Bondi a glance. July 14, 2007 is the date. The setting is a private home in Palm Beach, Florida. The people in this picture are Jeffrey Epstein and a lady who was in the house in a professional role related to Epstein's company, according to sworn evidence in the same civil lawsuit. He hesitated. You are the 3rd person in this picture, Madam Attorney General, and you are holding a drink to Epstein's left. The room exploded. Not the controlled explosion of a new information processing chamber. After hearing something that radically changes the context of everything that came before it, a room abruptly and violently bursts. Journalists on their feet. There was a commotion in the gallery. The camera operators are frantically trying to find a location. Before the explosion diminished sufficiently to be heard, the chairman's gavel fell 3 times. Make a purchase. In this room, everything is in order. Bondi remained still. She had her hands flat on the table. Her complexion had turned pallid. Not white but pale. The particular pallor that results from the focused effort to remain composed in situations where it is nearly difficult to do so, rather than from shock. Her primary lawyer stood up. I must vehemently object to this line of inquiry, Mr. Chairman. Senator Blumenthal's entry of authentication documents into the record is fundamentally violated when an unauthenticated photograph is shown in an open hearing without giving the witness advance warning. The chairman spoke in a hard, flat tone. The picture is upright. Please take a seat, counselor. The lawyer sat for a considerable amount of time. Throughout the entire process, Blumenthal had not glanced at the lawyer. He had spent the whole time observing Bondi. Do you recognize this picture, Madam Attorney General? 71 seconds. It was independently timed by 3 journalists. There was a suspended silence for 71 seconds, while everyone in the room waited for something they knew wouldn't happen. Bondi's mouth moved once. Her fists gripped the table more tightly. The muscle behind her left ear twitched twice in quick succession, while the cameras observed it throughout each hearing in this series. Leaning forward, her lead lawyer said something important. She remained still. Her tone was thoughtful when she did speak. Every phrase was selected on its own. During my time as Florida's Attorney General and in the years that followed Senator, I went to a number of social and professional gatherings. Without thoroughly investigating the facts and context of any individual incident, I am unable to verify or explain certain visuals. Blumenthal gave one nod. You are unable to verify that this is you. Without understanding the entire backdrop, I am unable to adequately characterize this picture. He took his folder out. I'll give you some background. He pulled out a piece of paper and placed it next to the picture. This website originates from a witness's sworn deposition in the civil litigation where the photo was taken. On July 14, 2007, the witness was asked to name the people who were at the Palm Beach home. He gave it a direct glance. Jeffrey Epstein was recognized by the witness. The woman on his right was identified by the witness. And the third person was recognized by the witness. He raised his head. As PAM BONDI, who was Florida's assistant state attorney at the time, he placed the deposition page next to the picture. On the table in the record, 2 items are next to one another. A photo verified by forensic imaging experts. A sworn statement with her name and rank on it. In 2008, your agency decided not to pursue Jeffrey Epstein in connection with the Palm Beach inquiry, Madam Attorney General. Epstein was able to negotiate a non-prosecution deal with federal prosecutors thanks to this ruling, which many legal experts later condemned for being overly lenient. He hesitated. The year before to that choice, you were at his house. I need you to notify this committee if you ever revealed that visit when you were Florida's Attorney General. Did your federal confirmation procedure show it? Does it also affect the 2008 ruling on Jeffrey Epstein made by your office? There was silence in the room. The fluorescent lights could be heard above the ventilation system. Bondi had white knuckles on both hands. Over his legal pad dangled the pen of her principal attorney. Not composing. Observing her face. Her voice was calm. Thoughtful. I want to be absolutely clear, Senator. As the Attorney General of Florida, my record speaks for itself. I vehemently disagree with any claim that social or personal ties have an impact on choices made in my workplace. Blumenthal took the picture. I didn't justify your choice. I displayed a picture to you. You received a deposition from me, and I posed 3 particular queries to you. He returned the picture to its original location. When you were the Attorney General of Florida, was the visit made public? Bondi glanced at the table. After then, I would have to review the pertinent disclosure regulations. Did your federal confirmation procedure show it? Senator, I participated completely in the confirmation process, which included a thorough background investigation by the appropriate authorities. Bondi's main lawyer stood. Did it influence or inform the 2008 Jeffrey Epstein ruling? In response to any inquiries about the deliberative procedures involved in official prosecution decisions made during her term as Florida's Attorney General, my client is claiming executive privilege, Mr. Chairman. Blumenthal glanced first at the chairman and then at the lawyer. Communications with the president are protected by executive privilege. Decisions made by a governmental entity 17 years ago regarding prosecution are not protected. The chairman glanced at Bondi's lawyer. Executive privilege does not apply in this situation, counselor. Your customer will respond. The lawyer took a leisurely seat. Bondi glanced at the picture, then at Blumenthal. On the advice of counsel, Senator, I am unable to respond to inquiries that may be used to misrepresent my former office's legitimate use of prosecutorial discretion. The picture and the deposition paper were layered by Blumenthal. Take caution. That's all. Like a man who has anticipated and planned for this precise response. A picture. A deposition under oath. 3 inquiries. None of them got a response. Both documents were placed to the Senate record by him. There will always be these. The picture, the proof. Your non-answer transcript. Everything has to do with the same 2008 ruling, the same office, and the same name. He gave her one last glance. As the U.S. Attorney General, you are in charge of maintaining the integrity of the federal legal system, but you are unable to provide an explanation for a picture you snapped at Jeffrey Epstein's house a year before your office chose not to bring charges against him. He collected his possessions. Americans are allowed to hold their own beliefs. Mr. Chairman, I do the same for you. The hearing went on. Questions were raised by other senators. Bondi spoke to them calmly, succinctly, and without showing any signs of weakness. Beneath the photo and the deposition, which were already in the record, was the transcript that included the 3 unanswered questions: permanent, public, and untouchable. An picture cannot be sealed using an authorization code. An picture cannot be reached by an executive privilege claim. A skillfully constructed non-answer cannot erase an image from the Senate's permanent record. Blumenthal brought into that room the one type of evidence that Washington's procedural protections are not designed to forbid. Not a record of a wire transfer. This command is not classified. Not a private record from a federal court case. A picture. The folks that inhabit it are just that, individuals. Just one picture. Just one deposition. 3 inquiries. The U.S. Attorney General remained silent for 71 seconds. And a memorable record.